Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take everyday topics and, well, dive deep. Today, we're all about cats.
Oh, yeah, those furry enigmas that share our homes.
Mm.
Always keeping us on our toes, right?
You got that right. And to guide us through all things feline, we've got a fantastic episode of the Paws and Whiskers podcast.
Right.
They really get into it, stuff I'd never even considered before, like the whole history of cat domestication.
Yeah, it's easy to think they just, appeared on Instagram one day surrounded by blankets.
Right, but there's a whole lot more to it. What was it, like ancient Egypt and all that?
Oh, even further back than that. Think 9,000 BC, Near East. Back then, they were still wild, but humans were starting to realize, hey, these little guys are really good at catching mice.
So the original pest control.
Exactly. Kept the grain stores safe and everything. So they basically, earn their keep. And that was the start of their journey from the wild to our couches.
Fascinating stuff. Makes you appreciate their amazing abilities even more. Speaking of which, the podcast mentioned a couple of pat facts that really blew my mind.
Oh, for sure. Two things come to mind. First, their uncanny ability to land on their feet.
Oh yeah, that's always amazed me. How do they do that?
It's called the righting reflex, and it's all down to their super flexible spines, and a special mechanism in their inner ear, almost like a built-in gyroscope, helps them reorient themselves mid-air.
So it's like no matter what, they always figure it out.
Exactly. It's incredible. And the other thing that always gets me is their hearing. They can hear frequencies up to, get this, 64,000 hertz.
Wow, I don't even know what to compare that to.
Right. I mean, humans, we top out at around 20,000 hertz. Even dogs, who everyone knows have good hearing, only reach about 45,000 hertz.
So they're hearing things we can't even imagine. That's wild.
It's like they're living in a whole other sonic world.
Now, while we're talking about amazing cat things, I got to ask about something that's always puzzled me. The whole kneading thing they do?
Oh, you mean making biscuits. So cute, right?
It is, but what's the deal with that?
Pure instinct. It goes right back to when they're kittens. When they knead their mother's belly, it stimulates milk flow.
So when they do it to us?
It's a holdover from those early days. They're associating you with that same feeling of comfort and affection.
Oh, that's actually really sweet.
Right. A total compliment.
Okay, so moving on from adorable quirks to something a little more serious, the podcast also got into cat health, which is obviously super important.
Absolutely. And one thing they really emphasized was regular vet checkups. Even if your cat seems totally fine.
I admit I'm guilty of sometimes putting those off.
Yeah, I get it, but cats are really good at hiding when they're not feeling well. Regular checkups can help catch things early.
That makes sense.
And another thing they stressed was dental care, which often gets overlooked.
Really? I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, dental disease is surprisingly common in cats, and it can actually lead to some serious health issues later on. So, yeah, vet visits, and don't forget those teeth.
Noted. Now, I think we've got time for a listener question before we wrap things up. This one's a little different.
Yeah.
Someone wrote in asking why cats bring home dead animals.
Ah, yes, the gifts that nobody really wants.
Exactly. So what's the deal with that? Why do they do it?
Well, it all goes back to those hunting instincts we were talking about earlier. Cats are natural hunters, and in their mind, we're part of their family.
Okay.
So bringing us those gifts, it's either their way of sharing their success with us or even trying to teach us how to hunt, just like they would their kittens.
Wow. It's amazing how those instincts are still so strong, even after thousands of years of, domestication. We've covered a lot of ground here today, ancient pest controllers to biscuit-making companions. Any final thoughts for our listeners as they continue their own explorations into the world of cats?
I think the biggest takeaway is that every cat is an individual. They all have their own unique quirks and behaviors. Pay attention to those, and you'll be amazed by what you learn.
Couldn't agree more. A huge thank you to everyone for joining us on this fascinating deep dive into the world of cats.